Okay, so Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, just made a huge announcement,
Yeah, a major one.
and we're diving deep into it today. We're not talking about like a little chat GPT update here. This is something totally different.
Right, not just another incremental improvement.
They're calling it Strawberry,
It's their internal name, I
or
suppose,
O1 if you're going by the official name. And
which is way less catchy,
it's all about AI reasoning, like actual thinking.
which is a pretty big deal when you think about it.
It really is. And get this,
With that,
even Altman himself, he said his team was totally caught off guard by how fast this tech is like evolving.
yeah, I read that too.
They were expecting, big advancements, obviously.
We are OpenAI after all.
But Strawberry is blowing past even their like wildest predictions.
Yeah, that really says something when even he's surprised.
Exactly. And this is like Sam Altman, right? The guy's remarkably calm about these things usually.
Yeah, doesn't ruffle easily.
Makes you wonder though, like what are they seeing behind the scenes at OpenAI?
I'd love to get a peek behind the curtain there.
But okay, let's back up for a sec. For those just tuning in, why is this Strawberry thing such a big deal? Why are we even talking about this?
Well, in a nutshell, imagine AI that doesn't just, follow your instructions, like very literally.
Like a set of pre-programmed rules.
Right, but instead it actually gets the problem you're trying to solve, like at a deeper level,
Like it understands.
and then figures out how to help.
That's what Strawberry is supposed to be.
It's not just doing what it's told, it's understanding why it's being told to do it.
It's a huge leap for AI, this ability to actually reason.
Some are even saying it's like AI has leveled up, in terms of intelligence.
Okay, so about those levels, Altman kept mentioning this whole levels thing in his talk at the University of Michigan. What's that about?
He's basically saying that those previous AI models, GPT-2, GPT-3, even Chat GPT, which everyone's going crazy about.
All incredible in their own right.
For sure, but he's saying those were just stepping stones, like laying the groundwork. Strawberry is the beginning of something completely new. AI as a collaborator, not just a tool.
So it's like we've been climbing this staircase of AI development.
Each model a new step.
And Strawberry's like, we suddenly hit this whole new floor.
One with possibilities we can only begin to imagine.
And who better to be leading the way than the guy who, built the staircase in the first place? This is Sam Altman, the founder of OpenAI.
He's been there since the beginning.
And here's what I found really interesting. When asked about, the toughest part of leading OpenAI,
Yeah, what was his answer?
you'd think he'd talk about, all the regulatory hurdles, dealing with the ethical implications.
Which are huge, of course.
All those, headline-grabbing challenges, right?
Makes sense to think that's what would be most challenging.
But no. His answer was surprisingly, down to earth.
Really? What did he say?
He said the hardest part was actually at the very beginning,
In the early days.
when they were just, as he put it, stumbling in the forest. Unsure of where they were even going with this whole AI thing.
Wow. To feel that way when you're leading a company that's literally pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
I know, right? It's kind of refreshing, though, to hear that even someone like Sam Altman, at the forefront of all this tech,
Yeah, he's just human, too.
he still has those moments of doubt.
Dear.
Makes him more relatable.
For sure, makes him seem more human.
And speaking of human moments, did you catch that part in the interview where he admitted that sometimes he feels like other people are better at using ChatGPT than he is?
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
I mean, this is the guy who practically invented the thing. Even he's blown away by what people are doing with it.
It's true. Every day there's some new mind-blowing use of AI.
Speaks volumes about how fast this technology is moving, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. We're all playing catch-up, even the people building it.
So where is all of this headed? Where is this AI train going?
Good question. And from what Altman was saying, he seems especially excited about what this new level of AI reasoning could mean for scientific discovery.
I like using AI to solve those big problems.
Right.
He definitely spent a lot of time on that, like how Strawberry could revolutionize things in physics, medicine, even energy production.
The possibilities are really endless.
You could just tell how passionate he is about using AI to tackle those big, global challenges.
Yeah, he sees the potential impact.
And you know what else? He kept mentioning young people, how they're uniquely positioned to leverage this tech.
He's really putting a lot of faith in the next generation.
He seems to believe that this next generation, the ones who've grown up with powerful AI,
The digital natives.
they're the key to unlocking its true potential. It's like he's saying, you guys, you get it.
Like they're already speaking the language of AI.
Exactly. And he's not just talking about being programmers or, AI engineers.
So those skills will be in high demand.
He's talking about a whole mindset, a way of approaching problems and thinking about solutions that comes naturally to this younger generation.
They think differently because of how they grew up.
Right. Like they don't even see it as technology anymore. It's just part of how they see the world.
Totally. It's like how we used the internet growing up. It just was.
Exactly. So we've got this incredibly powerful AI on the horizon, capable of doing things we can only dream of right now,
And it's evolving faster than anyone could have predicted.
which is incredibly exciting, of course.
Yeah.
But it also makes you kind of stop and think, right? Like, what are the implications of all of this?
The potential is huge, but so are the potential risks, for sure.
And Altman didn't shy away from those big, tough questions either. He's clearly given a lot of thought to the potential impact of all this, both the good and the bad.
And we'll get into all of that right after this quick break.
So we left off talking about, the implications of this whole AI revolution.
Yeah, where do we even begin?
One of the things that really struck me was Altman's take on, that whole AI taking over the world scenario.
Which, let's be honest, we've all thought about it.
Right, like, are we all going to get replaced by robots? But his concern wasn't really about, AI becoming evil or anything like
I
that.
don't killer robots.
Not exactly. He seemed more worried about the, sheer speed of all this advancement and whether or not we as a society can actually adapt responsibly.
That makes sense.
He literally said, we're capable of handling change. Humans are adaptable.
Like, proven that time and time again.
But, and this is a big but,
There's always a but.
the rate at which AI is evolving, it's like nothing we've ever seen before.
It's moving at warp speed.
It makes you think.
It really does.
And it leads to another, I think, really crucial question here. How do we make sure that these, incredibly powerful tools are actually used ethically?
The million-dollar question, right?
Right, and from what I gathered, it seems like even Altman is, still wrestling with this,
I mean, no one has all the answers.
He's not claiming to have all the answers.
He's figuring it out as he goes.
But you can tell that he is, deeply invested in figuring out all these, massive implications of what OpenAI is creating.
Yeah, it's not just about building the technology, it's about the responsibility.
Exactly. It's not enough to just build cool stuff. You got to think about the consequences, too. Which, actually, speaking of impact,
Yeah.
one area where Altman sees huge potential for all of this is in education.
Education, okay.
He really lit up when he started talking about how AI could completely personalize learning, tailoring education to each student's needs and their own learning style.
So instead of a one-size-fits-all approach.
It's customized.
Interesting.
Right. Imagine, every student having access to their own personal AI tutor, available 24/7. That adapts to how they learn best.
That would be incredible, especially for those who struggle in traditional classrooms.
Absolutely. And it's not just for, students who are struggling either.
Right. Every student could benefit.
Altman actually thinks that AI could be huge for teachers, too.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
In what way?
Imagine AI taking over a lot of the, tedious stuff, like grading papers, so that teachers can actually spend more time, actually teaching.
That'd be amazing. Give teachers more time to do what they do best.
Exactly. And then there's also the whole issue of access to education,
Right. Not everyone has equal access to education.
which is something Altman is clearly really passionate about. He really sees AI as this, key to making quality education available to everyone, no matter where they live or their economic background, anything.
It could really level the playing field.
He really thinks so. Imagine, remote areas that suddenly have access to world-class educational resources through AI-powered platforms.
Wow. Or what about people with disabilities?
Exactly, who might not have had the same opportunities before. It's the possibilities really are limitless when you start thinking about it.
It's exciting to think about.
And it's already happening, to a degree. Remember when that student asked Altman about the global energy situation?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. And how, impressed he was with, her knowledge and her questions even.
He was very complimentary of her.
It's clear that he's really putting a lot of faith in young people to, shape the future, especially when it comes to AI.
He seems to believe they're up to the challenge.
He really does. He sees them as the ones who will ultimately decide how this technology is used, for good or bad.
Which is a lot of pressure. But it's true. They're the ones who will inherit this world.
It's their future. Okay, but let's be real for a second. Not everyone is going to be a tech whiz or an AI expert.
That's true. Some people just aren't interested in tech.
So where does that leave the rest of us in this, crazy, rapidly changing world? What about everyone else?
Good question.
Well, that's where Altman's focus on adaptability and resilience comes in.
Adaptability, okay.
He kept saying those are going to be the most essential skills for like surviving, even thriving in an AI-driven world.
So it's not just about being good at using AI, it's about being able to adapt to whatever comes next.
Exactly. Like, remember that analogy he used during the talk about like when those more advanced programming languages came out?
And all the old school programmers thought they were out of a job.
Yes. Like their careers were over.
They thought they were obsolete.
And it's funny because it's like he was speaking directly to everyone who's ever felt that, like, pang of, oh no, am I becoming obsolete?
Which is probably all of us at some point.
Seriously. But of course, that's not what happened. Like, the demand for really skilled programmers, it only increased.
It always does.
But the nature of the work, what it means to be a programmer, it evolved.
It always does.
And that's really his point. It's not about, like, fearing the unknown. It's about being open to learning new things, to evolving with the technology.
So instead of being afraid of the change, we should embrace it.
And use it as an opportunity to grow.
Yeah.
Right. It's like instead of being afraid of like becoming obsolete.
We should be thinking about how we can evolve with the technology.
Exactly. And use it as this like opportunity to learn and grow.
And that brings us to another really important point that Altman made.
Which is?
This whole thing about energy, like the massive amount of energy that's needed to power all of this AI.
Yeah, it's a whole other can of worms.
He wasn't just talking about, keeping the data centers running either.
Which, let's be real, that takes a lot of juice.
Oh, yeah. But he actually called energy and intelligence
Okay.
the two fundamental commodities of the future.
Wow.
It was almost like a throwaway line.
Like one of those things where you're like, wait, hold on, what did he just say?
Exactly. But it really stuck with me. He's obviously super passionate about this.
Yeah, he really does seem to.
Like finding those sustainable, scalable solutions, to keep up with the energy demand.
Because it's only going to go up from here. Yeah.
Exactly. As AI gets more and more powerful, it's going to need more energy.
Which means we need to figure out better ways to generate it.
Right.
And like distribute it.
And not just any energy either, right? He was very specific about that.
Oh, yeah. What was it? Like cheap, clean,
safe, and reliable. He even said that if we don't figure this out, like if we don't invest heavily in these areas, it could have like dire consequences.
Okay, wow. Strong words from Sam Altman.
He didn't mince words, that's for sure.
And you know what I found interesting?
What's that?
He seemed like kind of frustrated with the current state of things. Like, especially when it comes to our energy infrastructure.
Oh, yeah. He did not hold back.
Remember when he called the grid atrocious?
Yeah, not exactly a glowing review.
He was not impressed. And you could tell he was frustrated with, like, how slow progress has been in that area.
It's like we're trying to build this incredible future.
With, like, the technological equivalent of, like, dial-up internet.
It's a good analogy.
It just doesn't quite work, right?
Not really. And, it just highlights how all of these challenges, they're interconnected.
They're all part of the same puzzle.
Exactly. We can't just focus on AI in isolation. We need to be thinking about the infrastructure.
The resources, the energy.
All of it. Because we can dream up all these amazing AI applications.
Which we are.
But if we don't have the energy to run them...
It's all just, like, theoretical, right?
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole conversation so fascinating to me.
What do you mean?
It's not just up to, like, governments and huge corporations to figure all of this out,
Okay, so who else is there?
Us. We all have a role to play in how this technology is used and shaped.
Even in small ways.
Especially in small ways. Being mindful of our own energy consumption.
The choices we make as consumers, the conversations we have, it all adds up.
Exactly. Altman was actually really adamant about this whole idea of individual action.
Like we all have a responsibility.
Absolutely. Like staying informed.
Asking the tough questions.
Demanding transparency and accountability from the people who are building these powerful tools.
It's about being thoughtful, right? About how we integrate AI into our lives.
And making sure it serves humanity, not the other way around.
So where does that leave us? We're on the cusp of this crazy technological shift.
The dawn of a new AI era?
It's both exciting and, like, a little terrifying.
Totally. But if there's one thing I took away from Altman's talk,
and I think I'm with you on this,
it's that the future of AI isn't set in stone. It's something that we are all actively creating.
Through the choices we make every single day.
Through our actions, big and small.
It's kind of empowering when you think about it that way.
It is. It means we're not just along for the ride.
We're actually helping steer the ship.
Exactly. So, as we all go about our day interacting with AI in all these different ways.
Which, let's face it, is pretty much unavoidable at this point.
Right. It's everywhere. But it's important to remember the future of AI.
It's really up to us.